You can support this show at patreon.com/ASA podcasting.
The wasteland is a post-apocalyptic mess as the sole survivor wanders out about to see the rest. Nuclear explosions sending out the gamma rays from deep within the core, gross atomic waste. From deep within the core, gross atomic waste.
Hello and welcome to the 499th edition of the Fallout Feed. I am Andrew, joined by a flock of my favorite Fallout folks. Tonight, I've got Jess. What's up, Jess?
Kapow.
And also Ray. What's up, Ray?
Hello, hello.
Tonight on the show, we'll be going through our gameplay, what we'll be getting into this past week. And also, Will has resumed the awesome Top 5 project. So we'll hear a little bit about Sierra. Is it, it's not Petrovita, is it Petrovita? How would you pronounce that?
I say
Petrovita.
Petrovita.
Is it
Yeah.
Petrovita? No, it'd be Petrovita, wouldn't it? Come on.
Probably realistically, yes, Sierra Petrovita, but I say Petrovita.
Petrovita. All right. So Will's got a top 5 revolving around Sierra. So we'll hear about that. We got lots of good feedback tonight. Ever since the beginning of the season, I believe we haven't had so many people chiming back in. Beautiful to see. So we'll hear from Solior, from Lee, from Vanessa, Will, Sean, and of course, Pit Boy Steve. So we'll check in some feedback, see how everyone wraps up the catalyst here as we shut down Steel Rain, get ready to shift gears, go over to the whatever that valley is down south. What'd you say it is? What's it called? Shenandoah Valley? No.
Skyline Valley.
Skyline Valley.
It's in the Shenandoah Valley, but they call it Skyline Valley
so
off Skyline Drive.
Right.
Yeah.
So then we will roll right into our iguana bits, our news segment, and end the show with a couple of shouts. Evidently, Walton is displeasing Jess, so we'll hear that. So let's roll right into it. Check in, see what people are getting into. Ray, did you get a chance to play video games this week, sir?
I did. Just barely games.
Games.
Ooh.
Oh, let me see. Did some new thing drop in your space game?
Well, I'm still cranking away in the new content. And so I've been playing a lot of No Man's Sky.
Oh,
Well, that's
wow.
good.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
good.
I wasn't sure if you were seduced by that Wabbajack New Vegas playthrough you had going on, but it's No
Well,
Man's Sky.
I've been squeezing that in. But because
You got to have priorities.
and with No Man's Sky, you can get, you get a bunch of stuff set up, and they take time to run. Like if you send off a bunch of frigates, on missions, it can take, 18, 20 hours for those to actually run. And so, you get a bunch of stuff, you get it all set up, and then you leave the game. It all continues to run. The clock still ticks even when you're out of the game. So then you go off and do something else to kill the time. And in my case, it's been, mostly New Vegas, a little bit of Skyrim, not enough to really, count as anything, more than just cursory play. But I've been taking this New Vegas character out, from his hotel room or motel room.
Everybody go hotel, motel, what you gonna do today?
In Iraq. And going out, spending the day, going around, finding things to do, and then then heading back to the motel room to unload, get a good night's sleep, and head out the next day for another excursion.
So treating it really like My Wasteland Life, where you're living in the hotel room, you're just going out, you're doing stuff in the day, collecting a good day's worth of scavenging.
Yep.
and then making it home.
Yep. So um, that makes for incredibly slow leveling because, of course, leveling um, in New Vegas is, a lot of questing
Hmm.
is where you get, the biggest chunk of XP. And so I'm a little bit light. I did manage to make it to Nipton,
Okay.
and
Now, how does that work? If you does it trigger the same? If you approach from the west side, I'm sorry, the east side, coming down from Novak, do you still have Lottery Boy out there?
yep, yep. You don't, you don't run into him necessarily because I came around where the Viper Gangers are in that little canyon. I came around from the high side on them and took them out, and then came into town from the east, and I did end up engaging. I am now vilified by the Caesar's Legion.
Oh, so you didn't just, pet them on their little fox heads and let them go on their way?
No, I wanted his hat.
Yeah, there you go. You wanted your own fox head. Fair, fair.
Yep. Um, so and that was tough. So
If you were lower
uh,
level, I imagine.
I think I might be level 5, but probably only 4.
Well,
Um,
and what difficulty are you playing on? Or, I mean, does the Wabbajack? This is Viva. Is it Viva New Vegas? Is that the name of the collection you're using?
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So it's just a normal mode.
Okay.
I mean,
Um,
I guess it kind of makes sense that they'd be mad because you killed the guy, but at the same time, you're still honoring the group by promoting them through wearing the headdress still. So you're like doing like free advertise. It's sort of like they shouldn't be that mad. Like it's almost like an even exchange, right?
yeah. Well, they don't like self promotion a lot
I
in
guess not.
Caesar's Legion.
I guess not.
Wearing that fox head, he's part of the Fermentari. I know it's actually the Frumentari, right? What's the name of Wolf's order? I don't know. Fermentari? Should be.
The furry Mentari. Very
Uh,
nice.
yeah. So that's been good. Um, so after I finished up in Nipton, I had to go back because it was getting late. Um, and so then the next day, I was able to, make my way all the way to the NCR outpost. So I got up there, um, and so it's just been a little bit of traveling around. I got to that little highway patrol station just outside of Prem,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
um, and spent the night on the cot in the jail cell.
I was gonna say to go to the prison or whatever. Nice.
Yeah. And
Oh,
so
so you took out the Raiders there, right? It's Viper Raiders in that location,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And so
To go to the
now
roller coaster and stuff. That's a little further south,
Prim
isn't
is
it?
where the roller coaster is. Yeah. So the next morning I got up and went into Prim, and there were a bunch of powder gangers hanging out there that I had to take out, and um, you know, uh, in order to sleep in Prim,
Hmm.
before you clear out the Bison Steve, you kind of have to snuggle up to the sheriff and his wife.
Oh gosh. Oh no. I mean, you can stay with the NCR across the bridge. So you went in there and yeah, they shot the sheriff, but they didn't shoot the deputy. Did you get in there and save the deputy
I have
after?
not yet. That's my
Okay.
next thing.
Hmm.
So um, yeah, that's been an interesting way to play it. It's not It's not necessarily a better way to play, but if you played enough, it's good in that, it's fun to just kind of act like you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, doing things out of order challenges some of your assumptions about how you might go there, and like it changes your motivation, at least your character motivation, like you said. So yeah, it mixes it up. Now, are you going to? We talked about it a little bit last week, but this is your first time doing this alternate start mod, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, do we know if you're going to get shot in the head at some point, or is that just not going to happen? Are you like marching inexorably towards your, head shit?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. So I'm making my way up to Good Springs.
Did you say you had seen the platinum chip already, or has that appeared somehow? No,
nothing. It's it's going to be interesting to find out. It's fun, but also I'm taking a lot of notes to try to figure out what else I can do with this alternate start mod. So,
any bullwhips and or necrosis yet, Ray?
Not yet. Nope. Still haven't been to Freeside. So
always a hoot over there on Freeside.
Oh yeah. Yeah, one of the start options is to start as a follower of the apocalypse.
Nice.
And you start out in that fort.
Oh, so. You shouldn't have brought up the followers. I have beef. Today.
Uh-oh.
So, as many of you know, the followers of the apocalypse are probably my favorite New Vegas faction. I mean, I know they're a minor faction, but I like the followers. They're one of my favorite Fallout factions. Maybe mildly ineffective, I get it, but Oxhorn put out a video earlier today, just one of his little reels, one of his little clips, playing on the different socials about how the followers just aren't enough. Like, the followers just aren't good enough. I'm like, what? They're talking about what they do for the wasteland, but how, they have no real management or governance skills, that they're not enough to be a complete and whole faction. And, I had to respond to that because, like, they're teachers, educators, scientists, healers. They do all this, but they're not a governing faction. You know what I mean? They can run a small location, like, they could run the old Mormon fort or what have you, or a small compound. But no, they're not like the NCR or the Legion or, another group that actually, can run a large area, but that's not what they're there for. You know what I mean? So I just thought it was an odd video that Oxhorn put out. Like, I mean, it wasn't bad, but I felt like it was beside the point. It's like, I don't, expect my local PTA to step into the mayor's office and run the city. No, they're just a PTA. They do great work for what they do. Maybe a weird example, but not everyone has to be like a dominant faction to still be a good faction. Anyway, sorry. Back to
to say that they're not a good faction, that would be an ineffective argument.
I'm going to look up his exact wording because it wasn't quite that harsh, but it was just it seemed beside the point to me.
He said they blow chunks. I believe
it was enough to trigger Jess's rage.
Oh yeah, here we go. Tell me this isn't triggering. Oxhorn, 9 hours ago. Why the followers of the apocalypse aren't enough? Aren't enough? No, they're enough. Come on. What do you mean they aren't enough? That's just a harsh way to put it. That's all. Like, they're enough for what they are. They're not enough to like replace the NCR.
Well, I mean, of course I would have to watch the video to see, but is he making the point that I like them so much that I wish they were more involved in the story? Like, or is he saying these guys suck? What is his point?
So yeah, he's saying people, they're there to help educate people. People need medical treatment, doctors, research, and all that. Mentioning they're historians even. Okay, sorry, I'm playing it back now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, sounds like a great organization to me.
Journalists even, right?
But we have to remember, Vault-Tec did teach us why you don't want to let scientists solely govern, right? Because then you get gulper incidents. Was that a gulper?
Yeah, weird
was that
experiments.
You get weird experiments. You get finger tongue
he's
gulpers.
Saying this is good stuff, but none of that can exist without the strong arm some sort of law and order. Like, okay, I get that some of that's there, but individuals in the followers can also step up if need be. Like, for instance, let's be real. Caesar was a follower of the apocalypse. Okay. He took the education and stuff that he knew as part of the followers and his learning, and based on different experiences, applied it to creating a government. And not a good one.
The Department of
But-
Education and the Department of Defense are two separate things. Why would they have to
Right.
have their own army?
So yeah,
whatever.
so I thought it was an odd video, but if it was probably an outtake from something bigger, and maybe in the bigger video it had a point. This was only a 1 minute reel, but sorry, I didn't mean to derail too much. But they're one of my
That's
favorite
okay.
factions, and people out there always complaining about the railroad and the followers, and I'm like, come on, there's a place for good guys in the wasteland.
Could you imagine
Fallen.
if Gopher did his video game videos, but on Vine back in the day? I would love that so much. All right, sorry, Ray. What were you saying?
So anyway, you can start the game as a follower of the apocalypse and play the whole game as one.
Nice. You would be enough if you did.
Yes. So I did manage to squeeze in a couple of Foshnocks. And they are exactly like
That-
I remember.
That really surprises me for some reason. I did not expect you to hop into Foshna.
No, we didn't expect that.
No. And it's always funny because so I'm like, okay, I'm going to try a couple of Foshnocks, just to see what they're like these days. And so every time I went to do that, I'd look at the clock and it'd be
7 minutes
11
past the hour.
11:20, 11:15, and so I'd get out, go, play something else, and then look and say, oh, it's 5 minutes past. So I probably could have done more, but I managed to squeeze 2 in. So
That's pretty solid. So of course in those 2 you got like the glowing jackalope mask, right? You got the glowing veggie man. You got like the rare mask.
no, I got the Raven and the Alien.
Wow.
Okay, classics. The alien's a good newer one.
Raven. I love the Raven. That's a great
Yeah,
one.
and the raven is still technically a rare, right? Or
Yeah.
hasn't moved to uncommon.
Oh, I don't know if they bumped that. I didn't look at if they bumped stuff
Some
this
get
year.
bumped. I'm checking right now just to see if the raven got moved.
But they must have made all of the
Nope,
rare
still a
ones
rare.
from previous. Because I've run a few and I've gotten like the alien mask, like you said, Ray. I also got the Scorchbeast Queen and the robot. Those 3 were all from the same grouping last year or 2 years ago, right?
Yes.
If I
Yeah.
remember right.
Ray
But yeah,
knows. Ray knows well. Every Foshlock is there marching. But no,
Every-
the Scorchbeast
right.
Queen and the Robot are both rares too. So I mean,
Yeah,
no, we're
and the
getting
alien, right.
rares. The problem is there are so many rares now that getting specific rares or new rares can be much harder. But
So
yeah,
what are
there
the coveted
rares.
ones? You said glowing jackalope or something, right?
Well, the 4 new ones are glowing Honest Abe, glowing
Oh,
Bigfoot, glowing Jackalope, and
They're all-
glowing
they're all
Veggie Man.
glowing, but there's non-glowing versions of them as well that are more common, correct?
Exactly. Yep.
So, to be clear about my motivations, I
Leveling up.
oh no, I was getting low on ammo.
Oh,
So now I, take a couple of shots at all the enemies so that they'll drop my energy weapon ammo.
perfect. Yeah, that's great. Just go there, clean up, get some ammo. Because we are still low level. I mean, you were 37 or 38 last week, right? You're close to 40
Yeah,
now.
now I'm 41,
Okay, cool.
and unfortunately, I did get bumped up another level in score. So that was unavoidable.
Oh no. You're burning up the board. You're ranking up.
Yeah.
You'll be on
So,
scorecation before you know
yeah.
it.
Uh, and and then a friend of mine from the submarine group uh, had told me about a project that he had gotten involved with. That there's a big modding group that had done a major mod back in the day called the Gray Wolves,
Okay.
and he had gotten involved with them because they were going to make another Gray Wolves expansion for Silent Hunter 3. And so he messaged me this week and said, "Hey, it's been released." He's he's been able to tell me that it was happening, but he couldn't tell me anything about it because he was, of course, working on the project and couldn't share. And so
NDA.
I am back in Silent Hunter 3. One of the big things about this mod that they've made it so that it'll run on modern computer hardware. One of the things that kind of stopped me from playing Silent Hunter was the fact that as my computers got better and better, the game was harder and harder to run until it just wouldn't anymore. And so they've done some programming to get it so that it'll run on modern computers. And so I am back in the game.
Did they give it a
Lee-
good old graphics boost, etc.,
Uh,
or just that and it'll just simply run, but it looks like it always did back in the day?
Yeah, I mean it has a graphic boost in so much as they've added some new better um models, but it's
Mhm.
still the same game. So
Sweet.
It's an enhanced edition. No, that's good. Along with the stuff that the mod added as well, right? So that sounds great.
yeah,
Lee wants to know where this is available.
so so the Silent Hunter game is available on Steam. um I had a version that was loaded on an old hard drive um, that I'm using, and then the GWX Knights Cross expansion is available on SubSim, which is the big submarine simulation website, and it's GWX Knights Cross.
Okay, I copied that in the chat for him just in case he's curious.
So I've when you start a new game with Silent Hunter, you have to go through the Naval Academy, and so you have to learn to navigate, and you have to show that you can use the functions of the ship, so the deck gun and the anti-aircraft, and you have to be able to sink ships with your torpedoes. So I have to get through the Naval Academy so that I can get my assignment and get out into the ocean and start hunting.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you're back in, and I'm glad you're on the hunt, the silent hunt.
Yes, indeed. So I mean, it's still just as it's it's gosh, I don't know when the game come out, 2005, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 20-year-old game and looks like a 20-year-old game and plays like a 20-year-old game, but it's it's the DNA.
Doesn't
Yeah.
run like a 20-year-old game.
And some of our favorite games are 20-year-old games. Let's be honest. I mean, I hate to think of that, but Oblivion is 20 in like a year. Like next year, Oblivion is 20. So it's been a while.
Yeah. Yep.
Ye-
So that's been the bulk of mine. Almost mostly, I'd say probably about 80% No Man's Sky,
All the rest of this.
and the rest of it spread out. Um, I've I just released a Butcher Baker Candlemaker in Space episode. We've got another one that Baker's edited, and I need to get music attached to it and get that one out too, because we've got a lot of stuff that we covered on the new content, and it's been pretty exciting. We're doing a lot of baking.
A lot of baking.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll have to listen and find out.
Yes, making questionably sweet cake.
Uh-oh.
Nice.
So,
I think most of the stuff you guys do is questionable.
well, that's for sure.
That said, cake.
Yeah,
Cake.
very pretty cake too.
All right, Ray, any other gameplay you want to get into?
No, that's been it.
All right. How about you, Jess? Did you get a chance to play any video games this week?
I did, for sure. So, besides being Nuka-Cola Quantum month here at Stately Hussier Manor, which I was telling the guys pre-show, it's like, I don't know if there's such a thing as Stockholm syndrome for beverages or simply just that, your taste buds adapt. It's that if you're going to live out here, you must adapt. As Will Zig said, you must learn to adapt. Well, I have, because it's been very snowy, so I haven't stocked up on soda as regularly as I normally do. So I've been drinking a lot of the Nuka-Cola Quantum G Fuel. And let me tell you, after like your 40th glass over the course of a month or two, you start to actually kind of like it.
It beats you into submission.
So-
now, like it, or
I actually look forward to it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna mix in that powder. I'm gonna have a sip. It's gonna be tasty. But really,
Okay.
it is a little bit tasty, but it's more about the caffeine. It's like, oh, I'm gonna enjoy flavor and the coldness of a beverage with ice and caffeine. But yeah, so anyway, just saying the new Cola Quantum G Fuel, maybe still not great. Still a weird lemon, lime, coconutty mix that does not make sense, but I'm used to it. And I feel like this is evidence that, in the post-apocalyptic wasteland, when we're out there and we're subsisting off of fancy lad snack cakes, you get used to anything. Anything except toilet water. High rads, do not accidentally drink the toilet water. But most anything else out there, flat 200-year-old Nuka-Cola, you can get used to it. I know that's not a rousing endorsement still.
And yours isn't even 200 years old yet. Hasn't even really had a chance to ripen.
I think that's part of the formulation. They built in like a rapid aging kind of flavor to it,
I see.
A little bit of mothballs ground in there. I'm not
Extra
sure.
ass.
It's still weird, but point is, I'm used to it now.
The funk. I've gotten used to the funk.
Yeah, when you get a whole tub of something with 40 servings, you end up,
Oh, good Lord.
waste not, want not.
I'm just surprised you
So-
haven't got sick of it and flushed it at this point.
No, it's fine. And I mean, I have tea and coffee too, but it's not bad. I'm getting used to it. So,
Very nice.
but besides that, it's also been Avowed week at Stately Hussier Mansion. So, Avowed, as I mentioned, I got early access, came out on early access last Thursday. I didn't actually get a chance to play it until the weekend. I got it installed on Saturday and finally jumped in and started playing for real on Sunday. Character creator, Ray, you'll be happy to know that I was out of character creator in about 3 hours. Now, I have an
that's quick.
excuse this time. I mean, I always have an excuse, right? I'm full of excuses. But this time I was in a party chat with friends and we were playing a game and then, hopped out and we just kept chatting. And so I was talking with friends while working in character creator. So I had perfect excuse to take my time. No rush, no hurry, at your leisure. But my girl came out really good. Really like her. So I'm about 20 hours in over the last 5 days. I've played most nights this week, at least 2 hours, if not, 4 or so. And It's a really good RPG. It's for those who don't remember, it's the new RPG from Obsidian. It's a fantasy RPG, a bit of a Skyrim-like, but a little bit more of an action RPG than that because it's not open world. It's open region again, like we've discussed, is kind of a popular thing. But unlike Outer Worlds, the regions are actually rather large. So, I, as far as I know, I'm still in the first region. The world is divided into 4 regions. Maybe there's a fifth or some secret place, but each of those regions is a good open world size. You can play first person or third person. The majority of people I've seen are playing first person. It's very much Bethesda like that, where you can absolutely play spell in each hand, weapon in each hand, very Skyrim-esque. You can play in third, and some of the animations in third person are actually pretty good. Andrew might enjoy some of them. They're a little bit more detailed and such than say Skyrim third person.
Yeah, I mean, Skyrim and Fallout are obviously first player games that have third player tacked on.
Yeah,
at the
and this
event,
one I
yeah.
think still falls in that category, but they made it work a little bit more.
All
Yes. Yeah, a little bit less janky looking. You know what I mean? It's not like you don't look like you're a puppet running like with a stick up your butt while your legs are kicking, pretending to actually walk.
right. Speak for
You know what I'm
yourself, girl.
you know what I'm talking about. You've seen that Skyrim running animation.
Yeah, when you're a wizard and you have the spells on your hands out and you're sprinting, your hands look
Uh-huh.
really weird, flopping back and forth.
It's
I
really
always
just
thought it
your
was strange.
character. Other NPCs look fine, but I do think some third person animations are funny. But Avowed, so it is a solid RPG. I will say in some ways already, I think it's better than Dragon Age, which you guys obviously know, anyone listening, how much I've enjoyed Dragon Age: The Veilguard end of last year. It hits a lot of those Obsidian notes. There's some interesting characters. One of the first characters you meet is actually Kate from Fallout 4. I mean, she's
No,
not, but
oh, the
yeah, same voice actor.
actress.
Her name's Alora, but you might be like, I recognize that voice. Yeah, it's Katie.
Mhm.
Um, and of course, one of your main companions is Brandon Keener, who, as we mentioned last week, did a ton of roles in Fallout 4. Mostly side characters, but a lot of side characters. And of course, Garrus and Mass Effect. So a lot of voices you'll recognize, plenty more. You're going to be playing Find That Voice a bit because it's some of your classic space and fantasy RPG actors in there. So story heavy. There's some good writing, some good story, a lot of lore because this is technically the third in the series because it's in the Pillars of Eternity world. It's its own thing now. It's a spinoff, but it's the third in this world, so it's pretty advanced. Finding the quests really fun. The combat is actually great. It's one of those I would actually, in some ways, maybe compare it to things I like Kingdoms of Amalur or Fable, in that the action RPG, it is an RPG, but the combat is actually a ton of fun. Um, and the world itself is a little bit less interactive. So some people will compare it to Skyrim or Fallout negatively in that the NPCs don't have full schedules. Some do, but most don't. And if you can't attack them, like if you attack them, they're not going to react. It's not as interactive as a Skyrim system game.
I saw a really funny video of comparing Avowed to Skyrim,
Okay, yep.
where they shot a chicken with an arrow and
The
nothing happened,
chickens,
and then you shoot a chicken with an arrow in
Riverwood.
yeah, and everybody attacks you.
Yeah, yeah. That's the one thing that what Sven and Fandal can agree on is you don't attack our chickens. Nice. Yeah. So it's true. Like it is not a Bethesda game in that way. So you'll see people comparing it to Skyrim, of course, one of the most obvious comparisons because of the look and the exploration. But really, it's between that and a more action RPG, a la Mass Effect and the other ones I named. Stuff like that. So really loving it. I think it's going to take over my life for the next month. It is supposedly like a 40-ish hour RPG, although I'm seeing people finish as quick as 30 and a lot of people hitting 50. You were right, Ray. I will take longer. I'm at about 20 hours and I'm only halfway through the first area. So we're looking at probably 60 to 80 hours for me. If it tracks, but whatever. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying it. Great game. Highly recommend.
Yeah. Well, you're very thorough when it comes to exploring and
I tend to be.
interacting with everything. And
I, The map has a pretty hardcore fog of war where you can walk through an area and it'll clear the map. Click the map is fog of war until you walk over it. But it's a pretty narrow path. And so I opened the map and I'm like, oh, I gotta get rid of all the fog of war. So like I'm going over 5 more feet to be like, oh, let me get this and jump up on this rock. Let me get this. I gotta clear it all. I gotta see everything.
Yeah.
I also found I should send them notes. I found a few rock or two that you can fall through and stuff where the
Yeah.
geometry is not perfect. But once again, Bethesda, I'm used to that. So,
Right.
doesn't bother me at all. But yeah, going great. So you guys will hear about it for the next couple of weeks probably. But it's been a Valid week here. And then, of course,
Sweet.
a little bit of Fallout 76 because I can't neglect my Fallout. We're in a roundtable right now. I did some caravans last weekend with some friends. Great to jump in and do caravans. And you guys are going to learn about caravans when you're down there in Skyline Valley with the rest of us. Technically, they're not part of the main quest we're going to do, but you won't be able to resist following along the cute little Brahmin, slapping him on the flank, keeping him marching, getting rewards when you're down there. Don't take that as a challenge, Ray. I know you can resist, but don't resist. It's actually fun. Caravans are fun. Ray, Andrew, have you done any caravans in Fallout 76 yet? I'm trying to remember if you did or not, or run one of your own yet.
Not my own. I think I've assisted other people though.
Okay. Yep. That's what I
Maybe
figured.
not the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like,
There's not much to them. I mean, it's an escort quest where you're kind of following the Brahmin on a line, occasionally hurrying them.
yeah.
You fight enemies at like 4 staged areas along the way. The last one's more of a boss. The second one is like, the first one's like insects. The second one is, another caravan with a mishap. Like they're formulaic, but they're fun.
And I guess I can't really technically totally ignore it because I did one a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah. You did riding shotgun, right? The
Yeah.
caravan stuff through the Big Bend Tunnel. Yeah,
Yep.
it's kind of like those. I mean, it's different, but it's kind of like those, exactly. But in the outdoors, so you get to enjoy the great outdoors at the same time. But, so the caravans did some of that and still expanding there. I haven't done enough caravans even now to completely max out my lair. Part of what you're doing is this trading post. You're working together to build and get vendors and decorate this trading post area, your own trading post. I don't have that maxed yet, but over the course of how long has that been out? How long have we had caravans for? It's been since because it was after. It didn't come out with Skyline Valley. It was with the Milepost Zero update, which is probably September or October was the Milepost Zero update. A good at least 5 months. And, I've probably done at least 80 to 100 caravans, like not a ton, but I do them pretty regularly. So maybe if I go and actually count my supplies, I can level everything at this point. But
Do you get a jangly shepherd's hook to push the cattle along with?
no, you get a cattle prod though. You get yourself a fancy old cattle prod. You can use whatever you want. You can use a jangly stick, like with the sheep squatch. I'm sorry, with the Brahmin. You're not actually prodding the sheep squatch. The sheep squatch doesn't like the Brahmin, but yes. So that's been good. Did a little bit of building in 76. And of course, it is Fashnacht season. Happy Fashnacht, Merry Fashnacht. Started 3 days ago. We've had 3 nights of Fashnacht so far. Some friends are in there regularly. Some doing 2, 3 at a time, like you do out there grinding. I think the person I know who's run the most so far is my friend Kevin St. Joe. He said he has gone over 100 so far and no rare masks. So he is quite incensed, or at least none of the new rare masks. So he is incensed about that. Others, like my friend Shreds, she's done 40 or 50, and she's got at least 2 rares already, 2 of the new glowing rares.
No way.
I got to specify again, because there's rares and there's the new rares. So,
There's
the new
rares,
hotness.
new rares, and new glowing rares, and new glowing rare rares.
People are raring to get them glowings. Exactly.
Rare.
I just
The
want
jack-
bullets.
The Jackalope Max is exciting. People out there getting them. I ran just one parade because I could not, like last night when I'm getting in after I'm finishing setting up stuff, because I'm also prepping for the C3 convention coming up and a few other things. But I'm like, I have to do one. I can't just jump right in a Avowed. So I did a run. I got a witch. And I said, that was great. But the problem is, I love Fosnacht. I've talked about, but my
Which-
favorite part of Fosnacht is that first 5 days where everybody's happy to be there and like waving and engaged before they all go AFK. I've missed the first 3. I have 2 days left before everybody's like, screw it, I hate this event again. So that'll happen by Sunday or Monday. Hopefully, I can at least hook up with people and hang out a little bit on one of those days. And then finally, the rest of my gameplay was just like I said, setting up for C3. That convention is happening right now. I'll talk a little more about it in a bit, but it's going well, and I've got a panel tomorrow night with the Fallout Wiki crew. So getting that prepped, and on the new computer, I have installed 5 games now. Oh, I skipped the biggest part of my gameplay. I didn't write it down.
Ruh-roh.
I knew
What?
if I didn't write it down, I was going to forget. And I almost did. I hopped on the PTS server on Sunday, and I did all the new PTS stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's so I did the new ghoul quests. I have to say they are detailed. They are
Mm.
interesting.
Nice
You meet
photo
a
shoot.
couple cool characters, well written. So I like the characters. I like the location that you have to find. There are some moral conundrums to the quest. There's maybe a little bit too much exposition at times. One thing that they've done with Fallout 76 quests recently is characters talk a lot. They're like, well, we want to make sure people enjoy the writing, so they give extra lines to them, but not actually extra things to do.
It's just extra mouse clicks.
Yeah, yeah,
Skip,
but it's
skip.
hey, some of it's good though. It's a good one of those. I like the voice actors for sure. So the new ghoul content, it's fun. Once you become a ghoul, okay, yes, you look cool. It pops you in a character creator, and you make your ghoulified character. Now, it's not your character as they currently are suddenly with ghoul skin. And it's actually make your ghoul gives you a whole character creator, but it does kind of start from a reset default. So you have to recreate your character a little bit to get there if you want, or make them different. There are some excellent options. There are new tattoos for ghouls. There are 2 different ghoul skin textures. There are all the hairstyles you've come to know and love, but some more ghoul-esque ones. There are some things that you can't do. You can actually still adjust your nose tip. You wiggle that tip, but you're not wiggling it. You're just wiggling the hole, the nose hole. It's funny. But you still got like the cheekbone slider, the jaw slider, like all the good stuff. Like it's all there from the character creator, but it interacts with the face differently. So ghouls can be really unique and original. There's some new not only just new tattoos, you can actually do tattooed eyebrows or drawn on eyebrows for fake ghoul brows and stuff. And yeah, it's actually a very good character creator. It's the 76.4 Fallout character creator with new ghoul options. And once you do that, once you get in there and you're playing, there are all new perks. It's not just new perk cards, which there are, but there's also new legendary perks for ghouls too. So you got new legendaries to look at. You've got a bunch of new perk cards. You've got a lot of perk cards that have a little lock symbol on them, a little you cannot use symbol on them because they're no longer viable for a ghoul character. Obviously, what rads in the legendary category would be like that, but there are some others. Oh, I think Rejuvenated might be on that category. I didn't write down all of these, but I did. I wanted, because I knew the PTS was only up for a limited time. It's coming out soon, and I wanted to get in there and play it. I've got the new computer set up. I had to play something fancy with it. And Ray, it looked so good on the new PC.
Yeah.
Super smooth. So I've got 76 installed. I've got the PTS installed. I've got Fallout London installed. I've got Starfield installed, and I've got Avowed installed because I want to see how it ran on PC too, because it's Xbox Play Anywhere, so I can jump the same character between the two, just like in Starfield. I'm like, okay, if it looks this good, because it does look good, if it looks this good on console, what does it look like on PC? So I've got that. And Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition. I was talking with RTZ about it the other day, and I picked it up a year ago, and I, never got around to starting it. I played Neverwinter Nights back when it came out in 2000. It's an isometric BioWare RPG. Essentially, it was their first 3D D&D style game like Baldur's Gate. It happened after when they moved from a sprite engine to an isometric engine for this one, and actually like real 3D finally, as opposed to fake 3D. But that just got an expansion. So yeah, those are the 6 games installed, I guess, on my PC now. And I'll be playing Avowed for the next bit. I'll get back to London eventually. I'll keep playing.
Well,
some
no,
of
you
these
won't.
things. I have to. I mean, it was so good, Ray. It was like one of the best games I played last year. I have to. But there's a lot of games coming out.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to their next update. So
Yes.
Once
The
that drops, I'll be back in.
What is the DLC called? It's got a good name. It's like the Pound Cake and Butters update. No, the Beef Steak and Pork Chops update. Hold on, I need to look it up now. What is it called?
Bubble and squeak.
The Bubble and Squeak. That's it indeed. The Pork and Beans update. Anyway, it's got a cool it's got a cool name. I forget what it is, but it's something like that. It's the something and something, and it sounds really good. And they say they're on track to release it soonish, soonish for sure. But that is all of my gameplay, which is actually more than I thought. Now that I listed it out.
Since you buried the lead.
Yeah, well, I mean, the PTS is what matters to people listening more than anything else, probably. So.
Yeah, that's good to hear that the ghoul stuff is looking pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, it's interesting, and you're gonna see a lot of people playing them. But like I mentioned, there are some facts you won't be able to interact with unless you get yourself disguised. But that whole system is in there. The place the ghouls live, I won't spoil it, but there are actual characters there, and hopefully they add more quests to it. Like you maybe even get some ghoul-specific quests. I don't think those exist, but there's enough to the system. It's a lot.
Cool. All right. That'll be fun to check it out. See, my gameplay. Anything else you wanted to mention there, Jess? You all good?
No, I just want to hear what you have to say.
My gameplay, pretty short and sweet. Also, Fashnacht as well. I don't know. I've probably done 15, 20. A few of them just sort of like absently sitting there on the instruments while I'm sort of tapping the controller while I'm folding laundry and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just sort of helping, but not really helping more. But I don't feel like as much of a dirt bag as the people who are sitting there spinning. You know, at least I'm actually touching my controller. I don't know. I'm trying to.
I mean, no,
I'm
it's
trying to
fair.
make it.
Better about
I'm trying to give myself a little credit here.
At least you're mildly active. You could be
touching,
active if
I'm
something attacked you.
literally touching the right joystick every 17 minutes. All right. So yeah, I said robot, alien, Scorchbeast Queen mask so far. Atomic Shop. Did you get the Scorch? There's like a Scorchbeast Queen power armor helmet or something. I never wear power armor, but that thing looks cool enough that might like pop in power armor, just to run around for a little bit.
It's got a cool
in it.
silver look. Yeah, the
Mhm.
new power armor helmet in the Atomic Shop with the Scorchbeast Queen bundle.
Yep, that looks
Yeah.
fun. I haven't bought it yet, but I was thinking about it. I busted out the Tesla cannon and was running around with that a little bit. I find it kind of annoying that it shakes the whole goddamn screen when it like hits things, but like it's kind of fun to run around with the Tesla cannon. I thought it was really a good time. But it's like if you hit stuff and kill it, like it does like a like it almost
The
like
new
a giant
Tesla cannon.
explosion.
The new Tesla cannon, does it cause as much havoc on screen as the old one? Is it different?
I don't know. I kind of feel like it's people. I was looking around, like who's launching all the mini nukes or something, just because it felt like like the whole ground was shaking everywhere. But I was like, oh, that's the Tesla cannons over there. People are launching some. But whatever. It's fun. It doesn't do quite as much damage as I would like to, so I have to shoot things a couple more times than I would. You think you'd do like 2 shots with this thing, and then like people will be down or whatever. But it's maybe I just don't have the appropriate cards or enough intelligence or strength or whichever. Because I think it counts as both a big gun and an energy weapon, so you can double dip the cards like that. Anyway, I probably just am not maxed out for that, but. So that was fun, just running around with that. Lots of Fashnacht. Jess, you'd be so happy. You know how they added the like mask donation box there by the. It's just like
you putting all your berets in there for people?
Lousy with berets. There's like 300 berets in this goddamn thing.
Last year, I kept checking and I didn't get that many. But this year, because people were slurping stuff up out of that box. They're like greedy little slurpers. They're like pigs at
Really?
a trough. They're like eating, or however
Don't-
pigs do it.
Don't
And they're
do
eating
that.
all the
Don't do
slop
that,
in
people.
there.
Don't slop up your Fashnacht masks.
Yeah. I have a friend who's like, I dropped 20 White Wolf fedoras in there just to watch people get them and be annoyed.
Ha! I dropped spoiled meat in there. We should just start dropping the worst shit in there. That'd be funny. Oh, let's see. What else am I getting into? Nothing? Yeah, that's right. Nothing, because I've been recording music. It's RPM month. Getting near the end of the month. So I need to hurry up and finalize these recordings and get back to playing some video games, right?
Yeah, but it's going well for you. I mean, you're out there playing, beating things, breaking drum heads.
Oh, Jesus. I'm so mad.
He broke his snare head, y'all.
I was, you gotta do the 10 songs, right? So on, guess on which number song, how far into recording that song, the goddamn drum head broke, and I had to go like.
Ooh.
Luckily, I had other drum sets, so I could just go grab the other bass drum. But if I didn't have like, Jesus, that would have been I would have
need
been
to
so
give up your
pissed.
analog sensibilities and use a drum machine.
I don't know how to do that. I'd be hooking up MIDI, trying to figure that shit out. Good luck. That is not my ballpark. Yeah, but so recording will be over soon. Been having a good time with recording as usual. But we'll maybe play a song or two here coming up in the next couple weeks if I get stuff finished up.
Always enjoy that. Yeah, I haven't got a previews this year like usual, but I mean, we're only halfway through, so
Yeah.
a little over.
But I think that kind of wraps up my gameplay. So we do have lots of feedback that we need to get through, but I was hoping to hop onto Will's top 5 project here real quick before we get into our feedback. So let's go ahead and check in with Will.
Top 5 other things Ronald did to try and win Sierra Petrovita's affections. Number 5, splashed himself with Nuka-Cola as a cologne. Number 4,
She would like that.
gifted her with Nuka Quantum bath bombs. Number 3, tried to sabotage the Vim factory. Number 2, tried to get her drunk off Nuka Dark. That's just
of course he
wrong,
did.
I know. Okay. And the number 1 other thing Ronald did to try to win Sierra Petrovita's affections is made up a story that he once saved Bottle and Cappy from a death claw.
God bless you, Bottle and Cappy.
Man, Ronald would do just about anything. But sabotage the Vim factory, that is too far, Ronald. Too far. I mean, literally, because it's all the way up,
Yeah,
he's
he's got to go to Maine to do
Right.
that shit, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
There's no way
Unless there's a
he's
local
not
Vim
hoofing
factory,
it to
but
Maine.
I can't imagine.
Right on. Well, thank you, Will. Always a pleasure. Let's roll right into our feedback, you guys.
We make feedback.
First up, we got Sullior.
Hello, fellow Wastelanders. Eric, aka Sulior here, and I just thought I'd give you a little bit of an update as to what I've been doing lately.
What the hell do you think you're doing?
Excuse me?
I didn't know you were fucking deaf. I said, what the hell do you think you're doing?
Just talking to the Fallout feed family for a little bit. What the hell's your problem?
My problem is that you know that this was the time for me to tell my story. Yeah, we might be at your place, but this is my story to tell, so why don't you move until we're done?
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry. Here. Jeez.
Thank you.
Dumbass. Anyway, sorry you had to hear that. I may have been laying low a little bit after that goddamn imposter sheep squatch, but Appalachia ain't killed me yet. I did run into Hard Knock Holmes again for a bit. Ran around and took on something that was pretty tough, so I was hoping that if he was behind my Mothman attacks, that maybe he'd stop, but at the end of the
It's a
day,
conspiracy.
he told me to talk to the hand, so I guess we'll see what happens. What can I say? Must be my charming personality. So, after I took a minute to resupply, I went back to Fort Atlas. Shin and Romani were already interrogating Blackburn, trying to find out everything they could about his experiments. And while he kept saying how much he regretted what happened, the smug bastard was saying this with a smile on his face. Regardless, he was saying that everything was going down at West Tech, so I guess that's where we're going. I've already been there a few times, so I kinda knew the place a little bit. Place is absolutely crawling with super mutants, so this is gonna be fun. I get there, and the super mutants were there as a welcoming party. There were so many of them just on the outside. There were normal super mutants with guns and rocket launchers. They had some that were suiciders, where there were a few mutant hounds. So many super mutants, and it wasn't any better once you get in there. The place, again, was absolutely crawling with them, and you had to fight your way through just to get to terminals that will let you open the doors. But before you could use the terminal to open the door, you had to find the goddamn holotape that had the password for the terminal. I don't know how anybody got anything done there. It's a complete mess. After what seemed like an hour, I finally made my way through that locked door and down an elevator. Shin, Romani, and Blackburn were there to greet me, and while Blackburn said that he wasn't going to give up his scientists, he was going to take us there to show us what he's been working on. The whole idea was to give humans an edge over what the wasteland throws at them on a daily basis. Adapt and survive. Something I do all the time, but not with manipulating my DNA. I think I look pretty damn great if I say so myself. I don't want to do anything to mess that up. I managed to convince the scientists that what they're doing is wrong. Shin just wants to kill everybody, and I kind of understand that. I already have people that are shooting at me with rocket launchers, and I also deal with super mutants and other horrors in the wasteland. I don't need more added by what's going on here. Romani thinks that we can come to some sort of compromise. I don't know how you can compromise with these people. Blackburn wants to prove his point, saying that he's right, and he's going to show us how, by experimenting on himself. You know what they say about the road to hell? Whether or not his intentions were entirely good, who knows? But he did experiment on himself, and guess what? Now we're in hell. All of us. Apparently him too, because he kept going on about how he felt like he was on fire. I mean, he turned into what looked like a big-ass super mutant within the span of a few seconds, so I can't even imagine. Apparently that transformation also made him want to kill everybody, so he's running around with this pole that had like a piece of sharp metal at the end of it. Looked pretty dangerous, so I kept him away from me as much as I could. I did take some pretty hard hits from him though, but ultimately, between myself, Romani, and Shin, we put him down. The scientists, knowing that they were fucked, locked themselves in the room and wouldn't let us in. They don't know me very well. I can hack a terminal pretty damn easily. There was some arguing over what to do with them. Again, Shin just wants to execute them for their crimes, and I can understand that after what I just dealt with. Romani thinks that she can incorporate them into the Brotherhood and actually use their skills for good. I can understand that too, but after talking to them, Nellie and Jane want to continue on with their work. I'm not having anybody else play around with FEV. I've seen what horrors it's unleashed on the wasteland. I am not taking that chance. I did feel a bit bad for Farha, though, because she was clearly caught up in all this. She wanted to convince everybody to stop what they were doing, but just never spoke up. And in my mind, that's allowing all this shit to happen. So I had to kill everybody. Didn't feel great about doing it, though. But clearly they weren't going to change their minds. Romani just felt that the Brotherhood's gone too far now, and with the elders supporting this sort of thing, her talents were better taken elsewhere. Bye, Layla. Shin, back at Fort Atlas, gave this speech about how we are the best thing for the wasteland, and made me knight errant, so I guess I'm officially part of the Brotherhood now. So, what am I going to do with this authority? Just you wait and see. Speaking of, my Pip-Boy let me know that something happened where Vault 63 used to be, so I guess I'll go check that out. But until then, hey, why don't you come wrap this up? You have my permission this time. Wow, like that's something I really need. Anyway, so yeah, after I was on the show, I had a little bit of extra time, so I kind of gave Pyro a little bit of a break. And I was kind of focusing on the character I'm going to ghoulify here coming just in a few weeks. I wanted to get him through Vault 79 so I could start getting some gold bullion. I mean, he already had some gold bullion, but, actually get the gold from the raid. And we just had that update that patched up some of the stuff from the Old Western Shuffle, which it did. Johnny actually did what he was supposed to do at the end of the quest, but that is not the only bug that I was having issues with the Old Western Shuffle. I also encountered a bug where in the last round of the arena fights, you're fighting a grafted monster, and this guy would just take off and clip through a wall to where you couldn't hit him. That is still a thing. That happened when I went through with the character I'm going to go fight. His name's Matt. Matt Shaw. So, yeah, Matt was apparently doing too much damage to him, and he ran away and hid behind a wall that I could not get to him from. But I did complete the quest and went on to do Buried Treasure, the quest where you're going through with the Raiders through Vault 79. I apologize, my voice is a little rough right now. Not sick or anything, so I have no idea what's going on. So yeah, I get through, and I'm going through the vault, and there were some bugs that I dealt with the last time I went through. Those are still a thing. They have not patched any of the bugs out of Buried Treasure. So you get into the vault, you fight a few things, robots and whatnot, and once again, Johnny does not do what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to use a terminal to open a door, and he wasn't doing that. And Bethesda knows about this bug. Their suggestion is to leave the tunnel through an elevator and come back, and it should reset everything. No, it wasn't. I had to actually exit out the game and restart, and that fixed it. But in the very next room, he's supposed to go behind a door and deal with another terminal and hack the turrets. There was an invisible door there, and he wasn't doing anything there either. So once again, I had to reset the game, and that reset it. So I was able to finally make it through the vault on the Raider side, and I kept the gold for myself, which of course pisses everybody off. But you know what? I need my gold, so... Anyway, yeah, that's what I've been doing in 76. So, yeah, all of my characters have been through the vault, and I'm really looking forward to going through Skyline Valley, and I'm really looking forward to making my character a ghoul. So, anyway, until next time, I will see everybody in the Wasteland.
He's getting his character ready to be ghoulified. What does that process look?
Yeah, so it's like I was talking about on the PTS. So essentially, there's going to be a quest. It'll start the usual way, where you'll get a little distress call transmission on your Pip-Boy radio. You tune into that distress call, and you can follow up. And if you do, you learn all kinds of things. It takes you on a big old quest. I won't spoil it for people. But yeah, there is a quest involved to get ghoulified, and ultimately it's your choice. As mentioned before, if you do choose to get ghoulified, you can reverse it. So everyone can become a ghoul and reverse it. However, doing it multiple times, I believe, is going to be, or successive times, is going to be harder. Again, they also lampshade it. So when you're doing the process, the person, I will spoil this. Well, it's very mild. The person says, no, of course it's permanent. Once you take this, you're going to be a ghoul, and that's how you are. It's not reversible. The only way that would be is if you were in some kind of advanced simulation, but we're not in one of those. That's funny, huh? So they lampshade it and let you know that, yeah, it is possible in the simulation, but technically your character will be doing it permanently. And there will be something to it. Yeah, so we'll see more when we get there, because I'm only in the PTS, so I don't know how difficult it is to do it multiple times, but they have said that it would be more difficult to go back and forth. That's not a thing people are going to do. Also, big congrats on his character, his regular character, making it through the Raider side. So now he's done both trips through Vault 79, both endings on Wastelanders,
Damn.
which have any of us done? Ray, did you back when you were playing regularly? Do both or just the one?
I know I did with both, and I did with just Foundation.
Okay,
I don't think I've done it with just the
just the Raiders.
just the Raiders.
Yeah, of course, thinking about those achievements. You see, there's an achievement for doing it for the Settlers and one for the Raiders. So I don't have the Settlers yet, and now I'm jealous because Stiller got it. But good on him. I'm glad Johnny finally mostly did what he was supposed to. Johnny locking up and giving you trouble when actually doing the Raiders version of the Vault 79 raid, that has been a problem from the beginning. That's something that most people have experienced who have tried to do it on the Raider side, and you have to stop and reload. You exit, come back in, try it again. It can take a try or two or three. Yeah, just some of those advanced animations on a Fallout 76 server when there's a bunch of multiple steps and multiple things characters, NPCs have to do. They can get a little rough, but congrats on getting it done. Also, I enjoyed Pyro's little talk there. I did run into him in game 2. We played together a little bit.
Was he
the
a
other day.
dick in person too?
He was actually pretty helpful.
Oh,
To be fair, he didn't talk, because we weren't on headset. And Silior's a good guy, so there was no real pyro action. But we did do talk
really
to the hand
funny
after.
if you did get on headset and he was role playing his character when come up to you like doing the mean guy voice and stuff.
I love how this feedback you've talked about how, he wouldn't want to get any mutations to mess up his pretty face. I mean, however he said it.
His beautiful voice.
But yeah. And we
All right.
did do talk to the hand. He mentioned talk to the hand. It's because when we were doing photo posters, I put my hand in his face. So
Talk to the
where that came
shriveled
from.
ghoul hand. All right,
Yeah.
thank you, Solior. Let's check in and see what Vanessa's been up to.
Hi, this is Vanessa with my feedback on the Catalyst. He's not sure why, but Jim finds dealing with the Brotherhood and their increasing squabbles exhausting and always needs to avoid them for a bit after running a couple of missions with them. This latest situation is no different, and it won't hurt Dr. Blackburn to stew in custody for a while anyway. He may as well get back to assisting Sophia in finding out what caused her and her crew to suddenly crash land here in Appalachia. This involves tackling assaultrons, dealing with an irritating and uninvited visitor to his camp, Dr. Emerson Hale, and traipsing all the way down to Welch in search of Sophia's missing crew, only to find they're not there. Second thoughts, perhaps the Brotherhood aren't so bad. And there is the pressing matter of Blackburn's lab turning people into super mutants. He heads back to Fort Atlas. On arrival, he finds what seems to be an execution scene. Blackburn is on his knees, surrounded by Shin, Romani, and Valdez wielding weapons. The doctor makes the case that his workforce are on the verge of releasing the FEV into the water, and only he can talk them down. Reluctantly, it's agreed that he be spared, at least temporarily, and Jim will head out to the research lab at West Tech, with Shin, Romani, and Dr. Blackburn to follow. Dealing with super mutants is second nature to him by now, and he makes his way through the building without too much trouble, other than that which is self-inflicted. Badly repaired weapons and armour giving out halfway through, accidentally stepping backwards into one of the vats of FEV, and taking a ton of radiation damage as a result. Despite his idiocy, and after a liberal dosing of Radaway, he arrives in the lab relatively unscathed, with Romani, Shin, and Blackburn belatedly appearing. The scientists make the claim that what they're working on is the FEV but better. However, they're unconvincing in describing the rigour of their methods. We did some tests, they say. Well, we ran some models. It went okay, mostly. Actually, it went quite badly. But we'll tweak some ratios, blah blah blah. When pressed further, 2 of the 3 of them seem to be having sudden doubts. Dr. Blackburn steps in as they waver to claim that the chemical will be released regardless, and only he has the security code required to stop it. This wasn't mentioned in Fort Atlas, and seems very much like an idea he's just pulled out of his backside, but they're all at a standoff. The scientists have access to release the chemical, the Brotherhood do not, and there seems no option but to allow the Doctor to join his team and hope that he's true to his word. Almost immediately he enters a capsule, determined to prove to them the success of his work, only to emerge as by far the biggest, not to mention toughest, mutant Jim has yet seen by some considerable distance. And this is where his continued failure to keep his weapon in a good state of repair comes back to bite him. His only decent rifle packed up just before he had to take out the last couple of Hellcats. He resorts to cycling through all the weapons he's looted on the way through the building, but they have minimal ammunition, and the good doctor is showing no sign of slowing down. He ends up running laps of the room to keep distance between himself and Dr. Blackburn, hoping that Shin and Romani will eventually be able to finish him off. Occasionally he risks approaching to throw in some grenades, but they mostly bounce off other structures in the room or land way too short of the target. The fight goes on forever, and finally he decides to follow the doctor while he has his attention on Shin, throwing punches before quickly retreating. He's not sure this has any effect at all, but eventually the fight is over. With a quick terminal hack, they open the last door keeping them from the scientists. He expects them to be contrite, embarrassed even, as the extent of their failure has just played out in front of them. But no, they insist they can still correct this disaster. For all their differences of opinion, no one on the Brotherhood side has any intention of letting this continue, but they differ on how best to stop it. Shin wants the scientists killed. Romani wants to bring them in to work under Valdez's supervision at Fort Atlas. She says their skills are too valuable to lose. He's not so sure about this. They've just seen ample evidence, after all, that their skills are rudimentary at best. Perhaps they could lock them in a room to read technical documents all day. Once more, the decision on how to proceed seems to lie with him, given the entrenched but opposing positions of his superior officers. He questions everyone in the room, hoping that a positive solution will miraculously present itself. Dr. Faha seems the most accepting of their failure. The other two are still adamant that they are on the right track and should be allowed to continue. Unfortunately, the choice he's being asked to make seems to be an all-or-nothing thing. He can't just save one of the three. Well, no doubt the actual executing will be left to him too, which sort of makes the decision for him. All the weapons he's carrying are either broken or out of bullets, and he's not going to beat them to a pulp with his bare hands while Romani and Shin look on. Also, he's only a couple of months out of the safety of the vault. If he's honest, he's not quite come to terms with wasteland justice just yet. So ultimately, he supports Romani, although he feels like the scientists are being let off the hook far too easily. Shin takes this badly and vows to return to California to tell his superiors exactly what's gone on, taking his loyal initiates with him, he states pointedly. Back at Fort Atlas, Romani updates the remaining Brotherhood on what happened and introduces him with the new rank of Knight Errant. The reaction of the remaining initiates seems muted, to say the least. Indeed, only Russell Dorsey speaks to him with any real enthusiasm, and he's probably just happy to be allowed inside for once. So, yeah, that's the end. Definitely made things a little bit harder than I needed to, with obviously the weapons breaking. Also, a couple of pieces of armour broke, and then there's a point partway through where you have to pick up a holotape, I think, to get through one of the doors, and there's a hazmat suit next to it, so I put that on, thinking I probably needed it. Realised I didn't, took it off later, and for some reason forgot to put any armour back on, so it was only at the end cutscene where I kind of zoomed out a little bit, and poor Jim was stood there in his pants, that I realised what a complete idiot I'd been throughout the mission. So yeah, it was just a festival of stupidity, but enjoyable anyway, the Steel Rain thing. So I'll see you all next time. Bye.
Thank you, Vanessa. Hey, Jess, remind all of our American listeners what Vanessa means when she says they're standing there in their pants.
Pants is another word for knickers.
They're little underoos.
Just like fanny doesn't mean the bum.
No.
They use words differently over there.
They sure do. No, that's very awesome. Thank you, Vanessa.
No, that was great. And making it that much harder for herself. Oof.
It's like a little difficulty slider right there.
Oh, my God.
Absolutely. Weapons breaking happen. I mean, my best weapon broke. I think we heard someone else's broke. We're talking about it before last week, too. It's a long, yours, right?
Mine,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. It's a long quest.
I popped into the Atom shop and bought some repair
kits right then and there. That was very smart. But not putting the armor back on after it broke, too, and the radiation suit. And West Tech is no picnic. West Tech was one of the hardest areas in the original game.
Wow.
Such as it were. So, yeah. But that's awesome. That sounds great. Standing there in your pants. I don't know if I mentioned last week, but I actually stripped down for the knighting ceremony with Shin. So he was out there giving a speech, and he turned to me and he's like, "And for you, we need to award you Knight Errant." And when he turned over, I was like totally naked. It was fun.
You
got it.
Short Shin.
You got to tease him a little.
I wish that that little space you go down the elevator in West Tech, I wish that was open all the time. I like going down there. All right. So
yeah, having
let's-
more to West Tech is cool, but that's just great hearing from Nessa. And I know I mentioned every couple eps, but it's her first time playing 76. This is all new to her,
Oh,
so still
Yeah, I
learning.
always
And
forget that.
I just think that's cool.
yeah, it's great to hear it with through fresh perspective eyes. We got Will coming up next. Let's say hi to Will.
Hey, Fallout friends, Will here to talk a little bit about my character Danger. This will likely be a very quick feedback since I was unable to record when I had originally intended to. Just a little bit of time now, and I don't even have my notes in front of me, but I just thought I'd throw out a couple of closing thoughts since it was just chapter of the thing. After meeting with Romani and Shin, and now I'm back at Atlas, I went through West Tech by myself, which I had done plenty of times before, and I think this is the first time I've tried it just with a laser pistol. That's what I've been using, this Roundtable, and they've come a long way. I remember 6 years ago, or whenever it was, for our very first Fallout 76 Roundtable, I was assigned energy weapons, and my God, were they horrible. I remember complaining or just saying that all they really did was just waste ammo, and I was happy when I finally ran out of ammo because I could switch over to something that actually worked for a little bit. But, as I said, much better this time.
That's
I can
really funny.
actually use them. I only have the one point in intelligence, so I don't have the card that makes them do the extra damage, but they're still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I don't have too many thoughts on everything. Like I said, I don't have my notes, but I wanted to just say that when we get there towards the end, yes, I was screaming, like, what, as soon as they were letting Blackburn go into the back there, I was like, no, he can't go back there. What are y'all doing? And of course, I wanted to move my character, try to get in the way, block him, do anything I could. And of course, the game doesn't let you. It's like, this is rule number one of negotiation. You don't give up your assets or whatever. And stupidest thing ever. But so they let him back there. Now, that was annoying. Then afterwards, we go through, and again, I did not have any problems beating Blackburn as a super mutant behemoth or anything. All it is, I just ran around in circles, shooting him with my laser pistol there, and that went fine. As far as who I decided with, they give you that thing, the options. You go talk to the 3 scientists there, supposedly. And I talked to Jane first there, and he talks about how still wanting to work with the FEV and stuff. And I was like, that's the wrong answer, buddy. That's not what I wanted to hear. So I go over there and I talk to Nellie, and she was a little bit worse. I think there's an option you can call her a sociopath, and I called her a sociopath. So I was like, you guys are batting 0 for 2. And then finally I go and talk to Farha. She was a little bit better. She at least showed some contrition, it seemed like, and she wanted to take responsibility for it. Still didn't love what she was saying as far as her work in the future. However, I did side with Romani, despite all that, mostly because I did not feel that was the place to make that decision. There's something to be said for due process, of course, and I thought having basically an initiate decide their fate right there, heat of the moment, in Atlas, not proper. So to me, it was like, hey, they could go back to Atlas, get locked up, or do something, have, further discussion, official discussion, lengthy discussion as to what is proper, a proper fate for them. And so that was it. Despite actually agreeing with Shin more, I did side with Romani, and I'm Knight Errant. And that's all I have. I will see you all in the wasteland.
Well,
Bye.
what's Brotherhood Protocol? What are they going to do in that case?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to vary. It's, up to the elder, and then, of course, the elders, ultimately. But right there, Paladin Romani is ranking officer. I mean, technically, it should go her way. And when we object, it's understandable why she says the Brotherhood is no longer what I want it to be. Will's probably right. We talked about it a bit last week. I mean, it does make sense that while you cannot trust them and maybe what they're saying, given time and incarceration and due process, maybe they'll be put to death. Maybe they'll just stay locked up. Maybe they will repent. And someone like Farha will, do better and realize that she was going too far. So I get all that for sure.
Totes. All right, thank you, Will. Let's check in and see what
I
Sean's
want to
what's
quickly
up?
shout out Will dropped by in chat too. So hey, Will, thank you so much
Oh,
for that
nice. Thanks for coming
feedback.
by.
We got a
Will.
lot of people dropping by in chat tonight. So just shout out to Matt Man and Steve and Sullivan and a bunch of people coming by. Appreciate it. Rebecca earlier.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
All right, let's check and see what Sean's been up to. Thanks,
The
Sean.
Chronicles of Isaiah Pollux. Part 5. Master and Servant. I often wonder what my life would have been like if I had never been adopted, for lack of a better term, I suppose, by Vault-Tec. I remember clearly the cold nights of the Alaskan winters when all around the only sounds were the howling winds and the occasional cries of the wounded as they lost limbs or as their lives drained away from them. It was a dark and bitter place, and the worst thoughts men can have are eagerly invited in order to chase away the frigid emptiness. In those times I often look back and I am astounded, even as an elite soldier with world-class training and discipline, that even I looked down the barrel of my sidearm and thought it might be the only way out, that the world would end soon anyway, and what was the point to go on? It was in this darkest of times that I was approached by Vault-Tec to participate in an experiment where I would be taken from this frozen abyss of despair. I jumped at the opportunity. I needed the escape from the hell I was in, and my new benefactors of Vault-Tec promised they could not only restore my sanity to me, but enhance me in ways I never thought would be possible. I wanted salvation, no doubt, but the offer to be better, stronger, more intelligent was undeniably desirable. Never again would I despair. Never again would weakness play a role in my life. After my initial orientation to the culture of Vault-Tec, I was wide-eyed and amazed at the promises they made for the future of mankind. It all seemed too good to be true, and I admit that the old me was positively brainwashed into believing that this was the way. The experiments began soon after. The journey to the lab was fraught with mystery and intrigue, and I was shuffled here and there and back and forth, and we finally reached an outpost somewhere in the middle of nowhere. The labs were dark, and I was sedated almost immediately after arriving. Not enough to incapacitate me, but more to make me more compliant and in a constant euphoric state. I remember the E now, as my work with the Enclave has enlightened me to the true administrators of these experiments, and that Vault-Tec was merely a tool, a servant. The procedures were painful, they were confusing, they incited rage and melancholy, joy and utter sadness. I believed that I had made a terrible mistake, and that if I survived, that I would most certainly be worse off than sitting in the cold darkness of the Alaskan battlefield. The Enclave scientists were ever present, but it was my Vault-Tec handler that was the face that kept me rooted to reality during my stay. And I am thankful for that, because without that face, I would have most definitely devolved into a monster. I'm certain of it. This is the core of my self-imposed mission, to find any remnants of Vault-Tec, and in truth, find the man that kept me from descending into madness during the painful and confusing time. I need to know who he was and why he chose to save me. Isaiah Pollux. Day, I don't know. I have no idea. I have completely lost track of the date and how many days, months I have been removed from the vault. The hours just blend together in a stream of hapless missions and quests that leave me with a deeper understanding of what this region has truly become. The despair, the loneliness, as every other denizen of this wasteland seems to be trapped in. I have traveled far and wide through West Virginia searching for clues, of which there are many, and trying to piece them all together. Even with so many tidbits scattered throughout the region, there seems to be no solution to this maddening puzzle. I spent days working for the Enclave and the rogue AI that's in charge. I was assured that I could use the communication satellite it controlled if I was able to gain access to the missile silos that dotted the region. Of course, upon completion, the AI knew nothing of Vault-Tec's current facility in Appalachia, or even how to contact them. I recalled that the overseer had mentioned something about gold bullion reserves in Vault 79, and it was located in the northern part of the region. I worked with the people at Foundation to break into Vault 79, which was reportedly a government vault, and it held a different superior comms array. They too were of no help, although the gold bullion has come in quite handy. Vault-Tec technology is all around, but there is no presence, not even in Morgantown at the university. So far, each and every faction I have come across has their own agenda and manipulated me to do their bidding, and they have deceived me on every promise of increasing my chances to find any remnant of Vault-Tec. I am losing faith that the company was able to survive the Great War, that while their legacy lives on, they were utterly wiped out. There has to be more. Wait, what is this? This is odd. I am receiving a signal on my Pip-Boy. It's faint. Maybe I can tune it in. The signal is emanating from the forest region, and it's very weak. I can't make it out, but the frequency... Wait, why is it familiar? It's a Vault-Tec frequency. I will update shortly.
I think he's picking up the Fallout feed signal.
Yes, what a good segue, though. So we got a little bit of more backstory there for Isaiah. I hadn't realized about his history with Vault-Tec post-war in the Alaskan front. But that is a great segue because, as you know, Isaiah hasn't been able to finish the Brotherhood quest line due to bugs. So in that time, he's done the original quest line, worked with Modus and the Enclave. We talked about, the motivation for that and why he was doing it and how it wasn't successful to actually connect with Vault-Tec. He talks about finishing the Wastelanders quest line too, getting a bit more there. But that frequency he's hearing is now going to be the lead in to Vault 63 and the Skyline Valley content. So really cool. I've loved the storytelling.
Beautiful.
And Sean's actually going to be joining us. Is it next week? It's next week, right?
So let's see. Yeah, that or the week. I can't remember.
No, it's next week. So he'll be here with episode 500 with us and starting the very first Skyline Valley quest. So that's perfect segue for his character to come back in and join us.
Sweet. Very fun. Let's all go get Skyline, everyone.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. But talking about his Vault-Tec handler and remembering that face, funny, someone in chat, I think Lee, Lee said, sounds like Wilzig was his benefactor. I mean, we don't know if Wilzig ever worked with Vault-Tec, but maybe. Well, no, because he would have had him in cryo sleep too for a long time if that were the case.
What?
Still, I like the image.
Wait, Wilzig wasn't with the Enclave? I thought that he was an Enclave scientist.
No, he was at the beginning, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Although, once again, we don't know why and how. We don't know anything about that facility in the Fallout TV show.
Nothing
Just
really.
that they said it was the Enclave and they were doing dog experiments.
And it was on an island with the Dharma Initiative.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Remember the numbers.
Oh, no. Thank you, Sean. Looking forward to having you on next week. Let's check in with our good buddy PBS Pip-Boy, Steve.
Kia ora, everybody. Steve here with my feedback for Wilson Phillips. I finished up in Watoga. That is where I had left off with my feedback. I ended up letting Marcia stay with the Raiders. That seemed the better option for her. That would have been a dick move to make her stay just for Max. But yeah, I just headed north, trying to not think about earning score, just playing my character, trying to get into it, and running through the cranberry bog, knowing that I am not the biggest thing out there. I just headed northwestish towards the map marker. I ended up sneaking past a Death Claw and a Scorch Beast, and I noticed a ranger tower off in the distance. I was looking for a way up over the mountains or up into the mountains. So yeah, it worked out. There was a nice path up the mountain there to the tower. It was a nice tower too, a ranger tower with vegetables every level and herbs at the top with the stove. I tried to see if I could put a camp there because the view was killer also, but
fun.
Nope, didn't seem to be able to put a camp there. So
Bummer.
anyways, up and away. Not that I'm really maintaining a camp with Wilson Phillips anyways, not without fast travel. I try to go light. And
You're
they
running
place scrap
everywhere.
things all around everywhere
There's
nowadays.
no point
so
in having a camp.
and that is where my notes stopped. So right after that, I happened to have a back injury flare up, and it broke my playing on my PC for a while, and so I didn't get any playtime, so I didn't get feedback in last time. And then, once my back healed up, just life got in the way, and I forgot to cancel my Fallout first, so I accidentally paid for an extra month of that when I wasn't even playing the game, but it's worth it kind of
bummer.
because you get the atoms anyways, and I'll spend them eventually, so that's cool.
He's
But
at
I'm
False
back
Knock
here
right now.
to complete the Roundtable, and I decided to catch up this week. But in order to do that, I did not stick with my no fast travel, and I just decided to start jumping through the
Gasp!
quest as quick as I could because I was knocking this out. This is probably 3 hours before the podcast anyway, so I'm getting my feedback in super late. So I found my character Wilson, got her to the Blue Mountain Caravan location, went inside and chatted with Paladin Romani, who I'm not siding with in this endeavor in the larger quest chain. Anyway, so after that, I fast traveled to Camp Venture, which was the closest location I had unlocked, and ran to Harper's Ferry. So when that guy fiddled with the calendar, so I went into the train tunnel, and then when that guy was fiddling with the calendar, the door didn't open. So I looked up and saw that that's a known error. Just leaving the server and coming back in fixed that. And so I got just in case that happens to anyone else. And then so went in and ran through the maze. It was fun. Anyways, the imposter Squatch was a bit tough, but I just ran around and avoided the big beam that they shoot out of their face. Paladin Romani was absolutely no help at all during that fight. Does she even know how to fight? I don't know. She was just there. And I got the BOS civvies plan, so I made some of those to run around in. On my way to Vault 96, I ran across the Skyrim tribute on the path. Classic Bethesda. That's awesome. And then I ran into the Settler Forager, or AKA Gramps. I told him he could live with me, even though I have no camp and I'm not going to make one. And, oh man, actually, once I went inside, I didn't remember Vault 96, but once I went inside, I was like, oh, I remember this place from doing daily ops. Oh yeah, I've been lost in here so many times. And I was looking for an armor workbench, but I never found one. I did find a weapons workbench, but so I'm waking my way through the vault, and I find Tally, and I agreed to help her in exchange for the ID card. And then Romani's like, Night Shin wouldn't like that. I'm like, oh, bummer, I picked the wrong option. Anyways, we got in, I killed all the robots, and just as I killed the last robot, some explosion went off and killed me. And so now, so I had to spend 5 more minutes running around the vault trying to figure out how to get to where they were at. Scribe Valdez found me right away. It was running around with me, but again, she's useless and wouldn't tell me where we were. What a jerk. All right. Anyways, I found them, and can they? I'm trying to knock this out really quick before the podcast for today and get my feedback in. So could they give me a place a little less mazy to get the quest done as I'm doing it? Anyway, I got the doc captured, and then I fast traveled back to Atlas. And what? Hey, they're already there with the doctor. How'd they get the prisoner there so fast? Anyways, off to West Tech. I did have that as a fast travel location. That's cool. But then I'm playing it, and twice I went in and I fought through the outside guys, and I went inside and I cleared out a bunch of the super mutants. And then my PC decided to shut down. I was like, oh man, it just went boo and shut off. I was like, okay, crap. So I rebooted, got everything running, fought through the super mutants, got inside, killed some super mutants, and my PC shut down again. I was like, oh my god, I don't know what the issue there is, but I've moved it around a couple times recently, so resetting the video card might help. So I got in and I got through and I made it through the fights. Having to go through West Tech so many times actually leveled me up a few times, which is funny. I got down the elevator and had the fight, and the doctor turned himself into the behemoth. The behemoth makes me think of the Stephen Wright saying behemoth from Reservoir Dogs. Anyway, that was a tough fight, but I had some grenades saved up, some plasma grenades, which were great. Plasma grenades are awesome. And so I just kind of chucked at it when it was in a spot there for a while, and that helped get the health down. I did die at least once during that fight, and I was worried it would send me too far back, but it just pops you up above where they're fighting. You just jump back down and join in. Then once we went in and we had the scientists, I ended up just totally going full Night Shin, which he's kind of a dick, but I don't regret this. On my main character, I sided with Romani, so it's good to see the other side. And it's tough to fight Romani. I guess I remember having to fight Shin, but that didn't seem so hard on my main character. So then we went back to Atlas. I was made Knight Errant, and that actually brings us to the end of Wilson Phillips' story. Wilson Phillips, Knight Errant Phillips, will continue to roam the wastelands supporting the Brotherhood. I really love the storyline. Great storyline, lots of fun. No fears, true believers. I am going to continue this roundtable with my main character, who has never done the Skyline Valley. So it's all new to me. Haven't done any of it. So I look forward to exploring this new area. But for now, I'll leave you with Ad Victoriam.
I know what he's really looking forward to is fast travel.
Yay! Yeah. No, that makes sense. Doing it on your main character if you haven't ever done it yet, and you want to unlock any rewards or locations or story, that makes perfect sense. Steve did update us in chat that physically restating the card does seem to have done the trick. So no issues when he's playing right now, and he is in Foshnock tonight. He and Freighter both ran into each other on PC and others. So yeah, everybody comes back for Foshnock.
Nice. Freighter.
Yeah, for reals. That's what I
great.
say. The Foshnock is a great time to see people. Even just, once or twice a year.
Brings
people
us
come
out
back.
of the woodwork.
I mean, they come back for disappointment, but they come back.
Steve mentioned the Skyrim tribute on the path on the way up the mountain. What was that? The wagon thing? The wagon scene?
Yeah.
Is that what he's talking about?
Yeah, the cart.
Okay,
Yep,
I didn't know if
the
there was another
Nukashine
one
location.
or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he was talking about how he's siding with Shin, and I was just sort of thinking in the back of my head, it's so funny how they sort of mapped it out so that Romani looked like the obvious good guy in the beginning, but almost all of us were agreeing with Shen by the end of this the quest. You know what I mean? They set it up to make us look like they turned everything on its ear.
I believe it was Vanessa who brought up the whole due process thing as well. Was it Vanessa? I think it was. The thing is that for our first playthroughs, the majority of us, well, those of us who have done it multiple times, actually, I guess I can only speak for myself on this panel, but, the first time I did side with Romani, and I did go that route because it made sense there. So I also just wanted to see the other side. But yeah, Shin made more sense in general this time. A lot of what he said and did. Just he's a dick weasel, but.
That he is. Cannot argue with that. Hey, that concludes our feedback this evening. Thanks so much to Solior, Lee.
Wait, don't we have
Vanessa.
Lee?
Wait, did we not do Lee? Oh, we didn't do Lee.
Let's do Lee.
Solior, Will, Sean, Pip-Boy Steve, Vanessa, and let's finish it out with good old
Lee. Episode 7. The Solution and the Insurmountable Divide. Upon her return to Fort Atlas, Toh found Paladin Romani, Knight Shin, and Scribe Valdez interrogating Dr. Blackburn. Shin wants to punish Dr. Blackburn immediately, likely with death. Valdez pleads that they need Dr. Blackburn's help to stop his minions from releasing the new FEV virus to the world. Toe asks where his colleagues are, and Dr. Blackburn willingly disclosed that they are in a sub-basement of the West Tech Research Building. From there, they plan to release the FEV into the air and water of Appalachia. Valdez is horrified and says that it could spread for hundreds or even thousands of miles. Toe proposes going to West Tech. Valdez cautions Shin that just blowing up the place could finish the minions' work for them and doom them all. Shin concedes that if Dr. Blackburn must go with them, he will keep an eye on him at all times. Toe is again sent to scout the situation. Traveling south on Highway 63, Toe arrived at the White Spring Resort, new home of the responders. Or perhaps the home of the new responders. She couldn't remember which. From there she headed cross-country east, skirting by the south side of the Emmett Mountain disposal site until she reached the West Tech Research Center. She spent some time reconnoitering the area, which told her that the most tactical approach was from the mountainside to the west, where she could snipe at the outer guards. After some intense fighting outside the facility, Toe ventured into the building. Inside was a nightmare of super mutants and their hounds in a maze of interconnected halls, rooms, and walkways. Eventually she stumbled onto a control room. Technical logs revealed some of the horrors of working with FEV, including containing it when it started degrading the tank seals almost on contact, and thus having puddles everywhere. Then the bombs fell. Several of the staff were inside the building, Bradwell, Worth, and a man named Spielman, but were left wondering what to do next as all communication with the outside world was gone. After Supervisor Bradwell decided to go out and check with the Army at Huntersville, and was gone past his own deadline, Wirth and Spielman proceeded to dump a neutralizing agent into the FEV vats, and they took their time to do it right, feeling that all of the FEV had been eliminated. They then left to find their own way in the wasteland. Toe was left wondering if the green goo in the vats now was neutralized or not. Clearly, further investigation was needed. A final entry on the terminal was a friendly-looking remote door control. Toe decided to open the remote door, figuring that it would be better for it to be open, releasing God knew what, than to be trapped by a locked door. As Dr. Blackburn had said his colleagues were in a sub-basement, she looked for a way down. While searching, she found a holotape marked West Tech Research Wing Access Code. Hopefully it would allow access to one of the few closed doors she had come across so far, and not another that would reveal new, unknown horrors. Finding a Research Wing access terminal, she inserted the holotape, wondering what would be behind the door. She readied her Gatling plasma and prepared for the worst. Inside there were chemistry benches and tubes of the green goo containing super mutants. Toe hoped that they would not suddenly emerge to increase the trouble she was in. The Gatling plasma was effective against the super mutants, but in the dark hallways didn't provide much help with its own targeting, as she was constantly blinded by the bright flashes and spatter it left. She found an elevator and gingerly pressed the down button. Hellcat mercenaries. She must be getting close. Suddenly she was joined by Paladin Romani, Knight Shin, and their newest best buddy, Dr. Blackburn. Shin and Romani asked for Toe's report, and she said she'd taken down some mercenaries and thought the way should be clear from here. She then asked Blackburn for more information on his associates. He told their names and general roles, but nothing that was really helpful. The assembled brotherhood all mistrusted him, but there was little else they could do. He was largely cooperative, but there had to be something going on in that small, misshapen head of his. Continuing down, they found Dr. Farha and her two colleagues. Edgar Blackburn introduced them, saying he had been in the custody of the Brotherhood of Steel. Farha was defiant, secure behind a laser grid. They then boasted on the miracles of this new strain of FEV and dismissed the fact that it was still untested. They were adamant about going ahead with their plan, despite the fact that they had personally seen the horrors of Huntersville, where the entire population had been exposed to FEV and turned into the monsters called super mutants. They continued to deny there were any unknown unknowns. They finally admitted skepticism, but insisted that Dr. Blackburn be allowed to join them. Then Blackburn dropped his bomb. He had entrusted his colleagues with starting the process of distribution, but he had not given them a way to stop it. He would have to go into the lab they were in to enter a code to stop it. His price was to allow his colleagues to remain unharmed. Dr. Farha encoded the grid to admit Dr. Blackburn and only him. He then told Dr. Farha to prepare the test chamber so he could show that his formula worked by testing it on himself. Desperately, the Brotherhood team looked for a way into the lab. Toe found an open hatch in a closet, and they all dropped down to look for a way back up into the lab. It turned out to be a 2-story affair, so they didn't have to look far. Blackburn jumped into the test chamber on the lower level and almost immediately began to change, stretch, and unfold into the largest super mutant that Toe had ever seen. He looked like a super mutant, but had become a 12-foot tower of green muscle. Bursting out of the FEV tank, he grabbed a piece of machinery and ripped it loose from its moorings, turning it into an enormous club. Dodging and weaving, they all started firing into his massive body. Toe emptied an entire plasma core into him while trying to stay out of his reach and dodging globs of the FEV that he was wiping off of his body and throwing at them. Romani expended several fusion cores in her Gatling laser, and Shin was changing clips on his assault rifle so fast that the spray of bullets seemed continuous. The beast finally succumbed to the damage inflicted upon it and fell heavily to the ground. The horror was that as far as they knew, Appalachia was still in danger, and more so now that the results of Dr. Blackburn's failure was apparent to everyone. They made sure the beast was dead and then looked for a way to get into the lab. An active intercom was found, and Dr. Farha admitted that she should have realized their failure, but assured them that Dr. Blackburn had given her the code and she had stopped the release of the virus. She would not let them into the lab because she felt it was her duty to defend the other scientists as their de facto leader. She finally admitted that she was powerless against them and agreed to let them in, hoping the violence would end there. Proceeding into the lab, they confronted Dr. Farha, Dr. Jane, and their apprentice, Nellie Wright. Dr. Farha pleaded that they were only trying to make this broken world better and had no evil intentions. Wright persisted in insisting that they were so close to a solution and might still be able to help the world. Dr. Jane asked what the Brotherhood intended to do with them. Shin insisted that they cannot let them continue their experiments and they're too dangerous to allow them to live. Romani said that they cannot allow their knowledge to die, and concluded that Shin's guilt over his decisions that cost them Knight Alan Connors had led him to automatically distrust everyone. Dr. Jane wanted to learn more of what their situation really was. Again, it came back to Toe to help break the stalemate. She encouraged the discussion so that she could decide what to recommend. Dr. Jane said that they were lied to by Dr. Blackburn, who said that all of the test subjects had volunteered. Despite the failure, he wanted to continue the experiments on animals only. Nellie seemed to be a loose cannon and realized their simulations were wrong and seemed to think she could fix the ratios and be successful. She had no regrets. Dr. Farha seemed to regret the human experiments but caved to the enthusiasm of the others and took responsibility for their actions. Knight Shin insists that their abuse of FEV stop here and they pay for their crimes with their lives. Shin admitted that he is ready to enforce the values of the Brotherhood to do what he can to stop Paladin Romani. Romani still thinks that the Scribe Valdez can rein in these smart people and redirect their knowledge and energy to other projects for the good of humanity. Despite what they've done, she believes that no one is beyond forgiveness and wants to give them the chance to make things right. As for Shin, she believes that his loyalty to the Brotherhood should not be used to deny the scientists their human right to do better and help make the world a better place. Toe agonized about the decision. She worried about what Knight Shin might do and what the Western Brotherhood would do. She fell back on her stated training by Vault-Tec and her desire to make the world better than she found it, and sided with Paladin Romani. Toe told Dr. Farha that they had decided to take them in and redirect their efforts to more reasonable life-saving endeavors. Shin balked and swore to let the California Brotherhood know of all of their failures, and swore he would not support an illegitimate faction of the Brotherhood of Steel, and left. Romani dismissed Toe, saying that she would bring the scientists and meet her at Fort Atlas, insisting that they'd get through this and provide a better future for Appalachia. Returning to Fort Atlas, Toe found Paladin Romani addressing the initiates. She said that the super mutant threat had been quelled, but that due to the split with Knight Shin, he and his followers had left the Appalachian Brotherhood. She then promoted Tow to the newly created title Knight Errant, wherein she would be free to go about her business but would be expected to help the newest Brotherhood of Steel chapter as needed. And there was much rejoicing. But Tow couldn't help but wonder what came next. She wondered if she could become
And
a
there was
full
much
knight
rejoicing.
or not. Hermione simply said that since Knight Errant was a new title, she was still working out the rules, and if being a knight was her goal, then there would likely be a path for her to get there. Hermione declared a new dawn for the Appalachian Brotherhood of Steel, and that Tow should feel proud that they could now be a benevolent force striving to make the world a better place. She was disappointed that Shen broke with her leadership, as she admitted that if he had pointed his gun at her, she would have had no choice but to return in kind. Scribe Valdez had hoped that there would be a different outcome, as both Shen and Hermione would die for their beliefs. At least they could now pursue them separately without killing each other. Initiate Houston was near panic, not knowing who would take over leading the initiates, and decided to sit down to figure out how she'd cope with such a massive change. Russell Dorsey was shocked that the leadership split had come to this. He was hopeful that once the dust had settled, Hermione's vision would lead them to the start of a better world. The others were happy for Tow and congratulated her profusely, to the point where Tow had nothing left to do but return to her camp, rest up, and figure out what comes next.
Who do Romani and Shen report to? Nobody?
I mean, Shin reported to Romani, and Romani supposedly reported to the elders.
Supposedly back in the
California.
West.
Right, but she sabotaged the radio, so she didn't
Right,
have
yeah.
to. Mm-hmm.
So nobody, right? No one was reporting to anyone. They were sort of
They were going a little bit rogue, which is
Yeah.
why Shin was upset, because he wanted to get back in touch with the elders, and Romani didn't, because she was worried they would interfere with the way she wanted to run the mission. And so, yeah, when Shin and Lee got into it pretty well here, that Shin stated that he would not support an illegitimate version or branch of the Brotherhood,
Right,
and
diet
he was
Brotherhood,
taking some
right.
of his initiates, obviously not the majority of them, but some of them, and going back to California. He's going to lead them there, and he's going to let the elders know what was up, and decisions would be made. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe they're going to come back in a few years. I don't think so, though. It's a pretty long trek. I really like how Lee got deep into the ending there, and because this was the finale of a whole quest line. And so we might have glossed over it a little bit. But talking about what it meant for the Brotherhood and Appalachia, I'm glad Lee got into that. Also, he spoke with Valdez and Hewson and Russell Dorsey afterward, which they're optional on the quest. I think probably a lot of us did check in with them, or at least say something, but we didn't necessarily get their perspective or put that on the show. So good to hear how they were approaching it. And yeah, Hewson doesn't deal well with change. You can tell. And she had just gotten in with Shin, or started to feel more comfortable, and this was a big change. So very disruptive for the Brotherhood as a whole, losing one of their two leaders, even if obviously Romani was the primary leader. And everybody looks up to Valdez, but I don't think she's
Right.
considered. Maybe she's part of the leadership team.
At
Yeah,
least respected, if nothing else, right?
Exactly. Yeah, she's the head of, the scribe order, such as it is here. I think the only official scribe, right? A few of the initiates are probably dubbed
The
as
Order of
scribes. They don't really
One.
differentiate. Yeah, exactly.
You've heard of Army of One, the Scribe of One.
hmm
All right. Okay, so we got 8 more feedbacks now. Is that right? Who
No,
else did I
we're
skip?
caught up.
Who else did
We're
I
caught
skip? Okay, we caught everyone.
Lee was the longest. I moved into the back.
Thank you so
Sorry.
much, everybody, for your feedback all season long. This is the conclusion of this portion, but not the conclusion of this season of the Roundtable. We still have one last leg. We're taking a dog leg here down south. Meet us down there here in a couple of weeks. We'd like to hear from you guys again. See what you guys are getting into when you go down to the Shenandoah Valley down there, Skyline Valley. See what kind of trouble we can find. That'll be my first
It's going
time.
to be electrifying.
Sweet. It's my first time down
Mhm.
there. I haven't run any of this quest either, so we'll all go in together, guys. Let's do it. I bet you some people have already done it.
Yeah.
Ray hasn't, though. I know he hasn't.
No. But I do have a fast travel marker in the area now, because I did a
Some sort of
caravan.
an event
Event there.
down there,
Oh.
right? Yeah.
Event.
No, I was on some,
The electrical event there with the power station.
yeah, where you had to kill all the little,
Super mutants and
well, they weren't really
Lost.
super mutants. They were some kind of mutant, but they weren't super.
oh, but you didn't do the one with the robots where you had to kill the 3 robots. Or is that the one you did?
No,
Okay.
I don't remember. It's been a while. There's some kind of weird new enemy there that I hadn't seen before, and so.
Yep. Yeah. It's all the electrical ghouls. You guys will
And I
find
think I
out. You're
was
going to
like
meet them soon.
level 4 or 5 at the time, so I was really just running around trying to, not get shot.
Mm-hmm.
What would a non-super mutant look like?
I mean, there are some mutants that are less super than others.
It's just like that guy Ted over there, right?
Do you get the musculature? Yeah, because I mean, like even Virgil. Virgil went full super mutant. Yeah,
Some of them get really tall and lanky, though. They look sort of odd.
they are a little more.
Yeah, stretched out.
Depends on the strain and the game and the artist, right?
Right. If Jonah drew him or some other dude. Yeah. All right. So feedback complete. Hey, let's roll into and see if Jess has any good, tasty iguana bits for us this week.
Jessica, to the office, please. Jessica, to the office. Your iguana bits are ready. Please come pick them up.
That's the only needs you need to know. It's everywhere you want to be, everywhere you gotta be. Keep your head spinning, keep your character spinning, get those rare masks, because it's Fashnacht time. I'm excited because I have not had an event to actually announce on the calendar since before Christmas with, the holiday jingles. And admittedly, I say Fashnacht's coming, but that's not the same as being there. So yay, Fashnacht is here. I hope all of you get the rare mask of your dreams, especially if it's the glowing jackalope, but whichever one you like. I hope that you get it. I hope you get all the flowers. They are really, really cool. And it seems like a lot of fun. If you didn't know, Double XP has also been extended. The Double XP was going to be over on the 17th or 18th earlier this week, but they've kept it going. It's going to keep going Double XP through the 24th. Why? I don't know. I mean, they said we were getting extra because of the whole PlayStation downage, that we were going to get some extra stuff. So I guess it's all because of that. So yeah, and they just didn't reset it. They're just going to keep it going all through the weekend. Enjoy your double XP, super size helping, super mutant, super XP. But that's it for the calendar right now. We got the big events. Looking forward, I wanted to mention. So we know that next season is coming. We've got the Ghoul update, the Ghoulvolution, as they're calling it, which I was testing out on the PTS. We've got the new Spring Bloom event, and we've got the next season. Now, previously talking about it, we were saying probably the 4th or the 11th. I was leaning towards the 4th. But I do want to make it clear, they have not yet announced when that's going to be. And I thought that they might. Usually they announce about 2 weeks ahead when it's coming. They haven't yet. So that's not set in stone. There is a chance, there's always a chance that it's not coming out when we expect. It may be a little bit later in March. So don't count your chickens or your ghouls or your end of season before, or your tickets. How about that? Your tickets before they expire. Because it could be later in March. We don't know. They have not officially said. I just want to make sure everyone's aware that don't count on it being on the 4th. Beyond that, for newsworthy items, the C3 convention, Community Creation Con, is going on right now. I mentioned it the last 2 weeks. Today, we had a number of panels, starting with Eleonora doing some Starfield ship habs. She had Fen Harellen and a few people join her. Several panels throughout the day. We had one on photos. We had a couple on, obviously, various mod projects. Fallout Chicago made a presentation. I'm just going to pull up that schedule again because I don't have it in front of me. Starting tomorrow, so I want to let you know what's happening tomorrow in case Andrew gets this out before too late, but probably it'll already happen by the time you hear this, which, no pressure, Andrew, of course, no pressure at all.
Rush.
So on Saturday, they're doing a presentation on modding events, a presentation on Fallout Appalachia, which is a development thing they're doing. They're kind of creating Appalachia in the current day in the Fallout 4 engine. what might it be like, what might be happening there. Just a little project people are doing. I don't know how large it's going to be. There's going to be a big old BOS military base based on the Fallout TV show style. Someone's adding a mod that they're going to make for that. Concord Stories, which is a fun group of mods set in Fallout 4. Then around 2 p.m. tomorrow is the Skywind showcase. Skywind is the remake of Morrowind in the Skyrim engine. So everyone hears about Sky Oblivion. This is Skywind, which has been an ongoing project for a while. And they've actually made a lot of headway there, too. That's going to be at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Then at 4 p.m. tomorrow is the Sky Oblivion showcase. That's when we're going to get the update on what is happening with Sky Oblivion.
Directly after that is the Skyrena presentation, too. Don't forget that one.
The Skyrena. Yeah, I think I just said the wrong time there. I've got it wrong on schedule. That's going to be, I think, around 3 p.m. Eastern, because we've got a keynote. We've got a keynote event at 3:30 p.m. tomorrow. That's going to be on Eleanor's channel, The Real Eleanor. Ellie is going to be joined by our friend Chris Takahashi and Rob Vogel. And the discussion of the keynote this year is about being a community creator and a modder and fan to actually working with and for Bethesda. Because as we know, Eleonora jumped in to do lighting and clutter and a lot of design on Starfield, and of course, Verified Creations now. Chris Takahashi is a full-time at Bethesda for a couple years now, and doing quests and NPC design and all that, both in Starfield and some Fallout stuff. And Rob Vogel, some of you may know him better as Fading Signal. I'm a huge fan of a lot of his mods, a lot of his lighting mods and all that over the years. And he's been working on 76 and Starfield too. So yeah, they're going to be there talking about that, their journey there. Then we've got a presentation on Empire Wastes, an ZL Armaments mod, which is for New Vegas and Long 15, right? This one you might be interested in. It's Zealot Lee and a couple people are getting together to do this one. And Long 15, I think, is a location mod. ZL Armaments, that's Zealot Lee, is her weapons mod for New Vegas. I'll be chatting with the Independent Fallout Wiki for like 30 minutes, around 6. And then we're wrapping up with Beyond Skyrim, Iliac Bay, getting an update on them, and a survival mode overhaul mod that looks really interesting. So a lot of stuff tomorrow. Just letting y'all know what's there, because obviously, if you don't catch this live, and by the time it comes out, probably most of it already happened. These will be going up. YouTube videos of them will probably go up, and the VODs. The VODs will live for a while on various channels, and Ellie is hoping to collect them this year. We're gonna try to make sure that they all end up online. Here's the plan. And of course, if you ever want to see the schedule for yourself, besides the socials, just go by the Independent Fallout Wiki. And the Independent Fallout Wiki URL is fallout.wiki. Yes, fallout.wiki, not falloutwiki.com. That's the old one. It's fallout.wiki is the Independent Fallout Wiki address.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
So that's pretty much all the bits I have. Just a Fashnacht and update when it might be coming, and C3 stuff.
Beautiful. Sounds good.
But I did have something in the shouts. Did you see that?
I saw you got a couple of shouts there. Do you guys have any other things that you wanted to talk to before we do our closing shouts for the night? Hey, all right, let's roll into them then. We got a couple of shouts here, Jess. What do we? What's?
Whatever comes up naturally, Andrew. We can talk more if you want, but I just wanted to jump over to Walton Goggins being a goddamn tease.
Yeah, what's up with him?
Walton Goggins is a goddamn tease. Y'all know it. Y'all see it. He's out there. He's not the only one. Okay, Overseer Hank is a goddamn tease too. Not as much this year, but last year. And he's going to be doing it again soon, because he likes to get on socials and share stuff. But Walton Goggins, with the filming, he keeps posting things from his trailer, which, I guess that makes sense. But, and posting near locations, stuff in the background on set. And you're just like, oh my God, I want the new season of the show to come out. And it's going to be a year. And he's teasing us.
Is he posting those like, I get up at 2:30 in the morning and sit in the makeup chair for 14 hours before I get to film for 2 hours before I have to go to bed so I can do it all again the next day,
He posted one or two things like that last year. I don't think we got the whole spent 24 hours in the makeup chairs. I think it's only like 2 or 3 for him, but it's a
No
lot.
way. That has to be way, unless they're doing ping pong balls.
They've got
and stuff.
appliances now. I mean, he's got regular appliances and stuff. They've got a
Yeah.
routine, so
Yeah, right.
probably not as bad as it used to be.
No Freddy Krueger over there. Right, right. How
We
about
got
Neon?
people in chat. Oh, Neon, right. I just want to mention, so the Modus Files crew, for those who don't know, there's a separate audio drama fiction podcast called Stories from the Starfield, Frontier, Stories from the Starfield. And it's a project that Ken was working on, had a number of stories submitted, but it's been going kind of slow, the rollout on that, just one every 4 to 6 months. The episode that the Modus Files team, a lot of my friends worked on, just came out, and it's called Neon. So yeah, if you are looking for a audio drama podcast, but the one-offs, these aren't like long form, multiple episode series. They're essentially one long podcast telling a story, a vignette, if you were. And so the third one is out, an anthology series. That's the word for it. It's called Neon, and it's quite good. Yeah, quite good. In chat right now, they're asking about Elder Scrolls. Okay, Will says, so if Oblivion is 4 and Morrowind is 3, what are 1 and 2? How much do people respect them? I don't hear people talk about them much.
Arena is 1, right? I don't know
Arena
2.
is 1.
What's 2, Ray? What's 2,
2 is,
Jess? I forget.
I'll let Ray answer if you want.
Ray, do you know 2?
It's Daggerfall. 2 is Daggerfall.
Right,
so,
right.
This is interesting because a lot of people love the heck out of Daggerfall. It's our friend Casey, really, Daggerfall is one of his favorites. A few other people really get into Daggerfall. Daggerfall combines the procedural generation and all that with a lot of the Oblivion aesthetic. It takes place, of course, up in the Northwest, mostly in the province of Daggerfall, but there's also some of the Redguard and such in there too. And yeah, it's very cool. Anyway, are they respected? 2 was groundbreaking. That is somewhat respected for what it did at the time, procedural generation, game you could play forever, one of the largest maps ever created, despite being procedural. Arena, maybe a little less respected. You know what I mean? It was kind of an early first-person kind of dungeon crawler RPG, but still very cool. So yeah, that's the perspective on those. And don't forget, there were some Elder Scrolls adventures in between. I mean, we had Journeys on the phone. We had the standalone game Redguard, which was kind of an action-adventure game. People almost never talk about that one, but that was Todd's first project as director, by the way. He wasn't director on Daggerfall or Arena, but they did the Redguard. He was the director on that. And it's actually fun. I think it could be cooler if they just, it was buggy and it was a little messy, but it was cool. And then of course he did well on that and became the lead for Morrowind, and the rest is history.
So who created the Elder Scrolls? Who's responsible for Arena?
Yeah, I mean, the whole team was there, but I don't remember whose name is on the box. I'm just double checking right now, like if there was.
It was the original was developed by Bethesda. It's not like Fallout came to them or something.
Yeah, no, it was Bethesda Softworks from the beginning. And I mean, they had done a couple of things at that point. They were working on multiple things. Ted Peterson is a name most people would know. Ted Peterson's name was on the box. The director and producer was Vijay Laxman. I don't know much about him, I have to admit. But some of the artists stuck with the team for a while. The programmers, Julian LaFay was with them for a while for sure. He worked on Battlespire and Daggerfall for sure. Yeah, there were a number of Elder Scrolls games people don't think about. I didn't mention Battlespire too. That was a spinoff like Redguard. After they seemed to be doing pretty well, and Daggerfall was something of a success. They tried a couple things and they just didn't make inroads, and that's why the company was a little bit of trouble until Morrowind came out and hit just right.
Was it called The Elder Scrolls Arena? Is it a Arena?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, yes, it was The Elder Scrolls Arena. Absolutely. Okay. And reading over the story, there's a little bit of story on the development here. If you go to like the Wikipedia, it mentions Ted Peterson and Vijay Laxman said that artist Julian LaFay really spearheaded the initial development of the series. So the three of them are together credited. I know Todd was on the team for Daggerfall. I don't know if Todd was with them during Arena. We'd have to go back and look.
This says Arena takes place across the entire continent of Tamriel. How
Yeah,
the fuck? It
ridiculously large. Daggerfall was, I mean, they were all into procedural development back then. Like the Starfield wasn't their first. This is what they did back in the day, and that's why it was kind of a neat return to form for them to try it. But not everyone liked it.
No, it's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we could do a deep dive sometime into their history, but it's pretty neat how they their history in the 90s, where they started and how they grew.
Oh my God, 1994. Holy shit.
Mhm.
Wow. Yeah, so I think that's all I have this evening. Is there anything else you guys like to get into?
That's about it.
Then in that case, Ray, you can find all of his information over there at BBCISSS for all of the new and improved and soon forthcoming floodgates of episodes, right, Ray? Just you got them piled up, ready to come out. Thanks so much for hopping on, and at Ray LB as well. Also over there in the Discord, Ray. Thanks so much.
Good times.
Jess can be found at Sleep is 4T in all of her locations about all of her various projects. And Jess, thanks so much for hopping on tonight.
Shout out to Pip-Boy Steve. He says Castle's best Elder Scrolls game ever. Don't leave it out.
Oh, boom. We
Just
got
like
the equivalent Shelter argument, I think. That's
exactly,
great.
just like Shelter, y'all, and your
Yes.
mobile games. But you know what? Have a
Don't
great day,
diss
y'all.
'em.
Enjoy your Nuka-Cola Quantum if you have it. I know I will.
Thanks so much, Jess. She can also be found in our Discord. Everyone join that up. I can be found in our Facebook group, and the show can be found at the Fallout Feed. I'd like to thank everyone for downloading this edition of the Fallout Feed. We will see you in the Wasteland.
Thank you for downloading this episode of the Fallout Feed Roundtable. If you are interested in doing a play-along character with us, the show can be contacted by emailing falloutroundtable@gmail.com. For the Roundtable schedule, our Amazon link, and all other show information, please head on over to asapodcasting.com, where you will find the Fallout Feed, a Skyrimatic podcast, our YouTube channel, the Chatterbox, as well as other content. Once again, thank you for downloading, and we'll see you in the Wasteland.
People were slurping stuff up out of that box. They're like greedy little slurpers. They're like pigs at a
Really?
trough. They're like